Coming into the grand finals, 2G had the advantage with the map picks and bans, but it's now M80 that hold the advantage in the series overall, taking a strong Abyss to be up 2-1 in the series and just one map away from being the team to ascend. Yesterday was the first time that we've gotten to see their Abyss, and it was a strong showing, but we really only got to see a lot of their defense. So questions once we got to the side swap, and it was answered, Jen. Their attack side's pretty strong. It'll be a great way to be closing out.
Yeah, now that both teams are settling in, ooh, we are getting a very competitive series now. It started off really scrappy in the beginning, actually, with 2G being more cognizant of M80's aggro, like right off the rip. They're swinging at him. And this was a style that ME carried through from their icebox defense. And I think 2G responded accordingly, just being more vigilant, pre-aiming, and just waiting for that aggro push. But when M80 were on attack, they just knew how to play off of their own smokes, and even Koala will updraft above them, play vertically, so there was just so many angles of attack that made it too much to handle, despite 2G being such a good team in this chaos mode. It was very overwhelming to go up against M80 in these close quarter sites.
I mean, now we know for sure how Abyss is going to go down, and for 2G, I'm sure that's a devastating blow in this series as well. This is a 2G that was able to start the series off hot, but looking at some of the shots, looking at the confidence, and an M80 that was not leaving any stone unturned there, even like that spam kill through the box right at the end. A little bit of a tough way to be finding their footing for a series that otherwise started off quite strong here, Wyatt.
Yeah, definitely. Before getting into this, I was talking about not really knowing where to place M80's Abyss because we only had seen it one time, and it was excellent. Quality was going crazy. Is that always going to be what they're doing on Abyss? Evidently, this looks like one of their best maps. They've just never played it until the past 2 days, but that's a pretty good time to reveal that the new map that you've never played before is actually seemingly one of the best in your pool because they've just beaten 2 of the top 3 teams on it now, back to back. That is just so sick from them. Every first kill they had, they capitalized off of, and I mean, if you're looking at the scoreboard, you can just see the impact from multiple players on their team. Was really impressed by Net's Cypher play here. Xander had his moments as well, but obviously, you can see the MVP. That man stole the show.
Yeah, and Zap carries that performance also from Icebox of being an MVP there. This is the guy where you gotta be on the edge of your seat when he's in a 1v3. He's converting a lot of these multi-kills, and he has a very important job as the Sova to control mid and get that initial information off the rip. So Zap continues to really have an impact for 2G.
Unfortunately, just not enough of one to get anywhere close to closing out this series with what M80 was delivering on the other end. We highlighted Net from that past map. Net also a standout performance in this one, but someone who we wanted to talk about a little bit more, we highlighted it before we got into the map. Whatever Jet was going to show up was probably going to steal the show. And from Koala Noob, well, it's going to be him to steal the title. It's getting the win, and also, I mean, coming out here, Koala Noob again and again. I feel like we had the frag package yesterday after he popped off. And Jen, we're going right back to that.
And the casters pointed it out of just, we don't see Koala Noob on Jet as much as your regular duelist, but he is starting to reach that peak today. Going up against Silence to make him look silent is a feat in itself. And Koala Noob needed to be that entry guy, needed to be active and mobile and confident, which we didn't see at the start of the series yesterday, but now that his team is settling in, this is the same good-looking Abyss from M80 that got brought out today.
And with that now, it's going to be M80 that are up 2 maps in this series, and 4th one coming up for Haven. And we talked about some of the implications of Bind earlier on, but we never got into the intricacies of this map number 4, Haven. We talked about this Bind that we haven't seen on the opposing end. Well, Haven, we have not seen it from 2G. Since this has been in the pool for them, they have first banned it 5 times, second banned it once. The only time they've ever floated it was their last series up against M80, and they never had to go there. They closed it out in 2. Now, Wyatt, this is their life on the line, a map we've never seen from them.
And I could expect them to play one or other of the 2 relevant meta comps, either the standard Jet Breach Sova comp, which is what M80 opt for, or the Neon comp with Spike. They've got 2 different options. I mean, frankly, if you're wanting 2Game to win right now, I would kind of hope that they're going to have Spike play Neon and get Silence over on the Cypher, because his Jet is just not up to scratch right now. Heading into this series, interestingly enough, Silence and Koala Noob were the 2 highest rated Jets in the tournament. Silence is number 1 with 257 ACS, and Koala Noob is number 2 with 256. Literally 1 ACS point off. But today, it doesn't feel like a contest at all. Koala is just straight up playing better. So I kind of hope they bring out the Neon comp and that be the solution to their woes on, the prior 2 maps.
Yeah, I think that's what M80 really struggle with is Neon, because M80 have only one non-Neon map so far. So it's like 2G, could they bring back out the Neon, really give M80 a run for their money, match that fire with fire, the aggro with aggro, maybe get M80 to settle a bit, because now that you're on a 3-site map, you're going to have a defense from M80 or just from both sides that are going to be stretched more thin. So that's where this Neon can really run things over. So I hope to see the 2G Neon.
Especially, too, the only loss that M80 have had on Haven for Ascension so far was yesterday to this Neon that was running around zapping them in the behind. So going into today, knowing that there's a very proficient Neon user server, that would be a great adaptation. A difference going into Haven this time around as well, M80, this isn't the first map of the series anymore. They have warmed up. They're a team that's been known to take that momentum. They normally have these slow starts, and that's what we saw yesterday on that Haven. Now it's map 4 of the series, an opportunity to be closing this out. Wyatt, there is so much to be said here, and the fact that this agent select can determine everything, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, look, M80, they can taste victory. They are so close to doing what they couldn't last year, winning the Ascension Finals, making it into the Partnership League. They are 1 map away. And you can really tell that between yesterday and today, they really have put an emphasis, whether that be from IGLing all the players together, the coaching staff, probably all of them, on their mentality in this game. They look fired up, passionate, and they just weren't that yesterday. And that was their downfall in the first 2 maps. But man, what a different team.
Yeah, I think that 2G can just fall back to their Sunset comp of the Breach, Cypher, Neon, Omen, Sova, like go back to the comfort picks, and you can, even if you don't have this wealth of strategy, I think 2G can also just react to M80 and just punish what M80's strat book is, because M80 have shown those faults on Haven yesterday, despite it being map 1 and them, quote, forgetting how to play the game. This is not going to be the same Haven out of M80, at least I hope so, or we're going to be in for a long day. But this is a chance for 2G to fire back when their cards are not revealed. We don't know how practiced they are. They floated the map for a reason.
They certainly did, but from 2G, they started turning heads and having people talk about them from the prep, how they were able to counter in the first place. Some of the prep done beforehand, some, of course, the calling from Zap in the servers. Zap has been showing up today when you're looking at the kills department. The rest of the team, I feel like after that first map, we haven't gotten to see that same unbridled confidence that we've known to love and see from this team. And I think that's a confidence we need to go back to for this Haven. They were able to so aggressively in the past take these first peaks, win them out. Let's see that version of the team as we head into the Blacklight Agent Select. Is it the Jet or is it going to be the Neon? The duelist choice is going to be huge in this, and it's crazy.
Okay, and no one expected that.
Duelist. Let's go.
Never mind.
Okay. Huh. Well, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that I didn't expect that. Anyone here expect that?
Yeah, you two duelists on duelists?
They're bringing in the Fnatic comp out of nowhere. I mean, listen, I'm not mad at trying to get Silence and Spike to just go run around and shoot everybody. I'm going to be honest. That's a curveball for me. That's definitely a curveball for M80. Those guys just have to start hitting. That's what it comes down to. They have to start hitting individually.
I think that's the strat. That's how 2Game ended up winning over Alt Nights before. It just came down to just the shooting fest when it was all chaos and no one knew where anything was. It was about those duelists, and now you got 2 of them for 2Game.
We've talked so much about this double duelist. We've had so much praise. Now we get to see it come to light in the most unconventional of way in the deciding map for 2G. It could be elimination here if they can't pull this out. We'll have to see what they can bring to this haven. Time back for Vansilius and Chip to take you through.
Couldn't have said it better ourselves there, Des. I think in particular why it really kind of starts the conversation in the right spot. Silence and Spike have not been the same that we've seen them over the course of the last couple of days. Now you're running double duelists. There's no more excuses. You gotta show up here when it matters most.
You definitely got to show up, and you're showing up with a brand new comp, so this is untested now for 2G. They've been studying the tape of Fnatic, and let's see if they can get anything done here with those two at the helm. Spike and Silence also back on the line where M80, if they win this map, it's over for the run for 2G. And 2G want to start things off now on the attack side, hitting the B site, activating the shield already. The double tap to come through, and a first blood for Spike.
Qualinoob trying to chase it down. Not going to be able to get there because the gate crash has already sent Spike all the way deep in towards his spawn again. And Prizey is just going to not allow any sort of a flank through grass. Paranoia cuts across the B side as M80 find their entrance back on in. Zap holding from one side, Silence the other. A couple of tags are in. Xander's right click, formidable to say the least. Off the reload, able to find the elimination. But BCJ and Xander have to do this all themselves in the 2v3. BCJ trying to hold. Here comes the bodyguard from Xander, but it's only so much, and Spikes will make sure there's no further defuse to come through. And there you go, 2G with the opening pistol.
This could have been a dangerous post-plant hold for 2G because it wasn't really planted to a spot where you could just spam a corner. It was a whole half of a sphere that could be diffused here, so BCJ could have been wherever he could have been to survive the spams that would come across. But thankfully here, they still had the power of numbers. They also still isolated that last player that was trying to help him out, which was Xander here on that B site. And they're able to score first here for this two-game composition and this team, and quite an interesting one here. This has been a permaban for 2G as well. We haven't seen this all year. They've never played it in the Brazilian side, so there's no tape. Now hopefully M80 has been studying the Fnatic composition too.
Yeah.
So they could be ready for this. Looking to be ready at least for the second round. 4 players up on the A side.
Well, there we go again. Double tap out. Decoy goes first. It's so hard to deal with this initial hit. Step on forward. Silence, able to get the reset. BCJ just outside the dark cover. Qualinoob holding with him as 2G. Not able to plant, at least not as of yet. Nismo with his shoulder. At least able to see something. Flashes out, but oh, the trigger discipline. Ain't labs much. Prize able to find all 3 with 1 tap. And it's a blacklight flawless for 2G.
Yeah, if anything, the grid shot was 98% accuracy because it almost got nervous there where he would miss the first shot and then sometimes like, oh crap, I'm not getting all my kills, so this could be dangerous. But it also shows a lot here into how 2G's currently facing the adversity of potentially ending their run if they lose this map against M80. The fact that he's able to still capitalize and reset and get these 3 kills, the fact that these guys have never played a BO5 and come out with this composition and are able to convert a pistol round and also win the anti-eco, it shows how much grit this team has right now as a team.
Well, it's a bonus that will feature 2 Vandals, a Guardian, 2 Spectres, and Spikes is already getting aggressive. Whoa, rings the bell. BCJ gets blown away. Defense on the rotation to A, but wouldn't you know it? It's not A, it's all C. And that's going to be enough for likely a very convincing post plan.
And just that, pulling the rotate. Look at all those smokes coming through. M80 are thrown for a loop. They went through all their smokes towards that side. There's no more smokes towards the front of the C site either for Xander. But thankfully, Net was holding here towards that ceiling, so nobody on the attack could push forward for 2G. There's an opportunity to flood retake here with the Paranoia.
Now they're going to go for it. Flash on the counter. Flash. Good reveal as well. Holds back this M80 retake. Try to change up the angle. Xander's going to try to move over towards the plateau. Silence, all right there with Zap. Just sprays down. Trades are decent. M80 trying to fight from the high ground. Have to fight this position at long. You also have a cut across the map as Prize is going to try to work his way in through Garage, and there will be no further elements of this retake for M80, and even beyond that, Xander will not be able to save a weapon. The bonus is good, and 2G looking clean through 3.
I don't want to jinx it here for 2G, but it's looking to be a very strong showing for them to push this to a map 5. because again, M80 thrown on a loop. One single push forward, taking down BCJ that's trying to do the recon solo play towards the A side, swings towards the sewers and gets caught. And not only that, the fact that they tried to flood retake and it gets countered by a flash from Spike and a recon for Zap to get all the players blinded and hit by a ping. M80 does not look ready to play against this comp, so Xander has to be on point on how he reads this play, and also for the coaching staff to watch it round by round to try to come back in this game.
Smoke, recon ball through long, double stack for M80. Wall and noob getting aggressive right up through sewer, but he misses the window. Xander also going to have to be pushed off. The neural theft going to force him back into sight where the hit is already underway. Rotating quickly is next. Sheriff in hand for him. Decoy just goes a bit awry, and well, there's just nowhere for Xander to go. Another blacklight flawless for 2G.
And this is where you're playing against the lower buys of your opponents, where you could snowball so much around the ISO. And this is such an important ult to bring now with the kill contract going into the next round, where you have a gun round available here for M80. And you're already seeing him looking at each other, trying to figure out how they can play against it. And already you have a timeout coming out from M80. Just to one, at least calm the snowballing effect that 2Game are currently doing here on the attack side. But now again, trying to figure things out. How do you play around here? This double duelist pulled out by 2Game.
And this is the important part, and I'm glad that you brought this up, because this may seem premature, I think, in the larger scheme of when a timeout gets called, but this is an important moment. You've seen now a couple of, you saw the bonus, you saw a full gun round, and Happy needs to make a call of, hey guys, remember, this is what this comp does best. This is how we best counter it with what we have on the table. You have to be able to give them the game plan now, because you weren't able to prep this map really at all for what 2Game are going to do. You have a mind in terms of what you want to do, obviously, as your pick, but it's one of those situations that you don't know what you're playing against. So you don't really get to play a counter strat until you start to see what 2Game are doing. 4 rounds in, now you've got an idea in terms of what 2Game wants to do, and M80 can really start to establish what their identity in this map is going to look like.
Yeah, and the thing too is how do you nullify Spike's map control that he's currently taking by himself here for the team for 2Game, because this is something that's not unorthodox here. Koalanu plays this agent as well. He's also able to create a lot of these fakes and TP out and then just throw their opponents into a false rotate. So that said, though, we'll stop that pace. There's a lot of things happening towards the C side already, though. At least Xander's able to avoid the kill contracts. That's a great start, at least, for M80.
Oh, BCJ, Odin out. He tries to fight back. And through the contingency, M80 actually stopped the play towards C long. And Xander follows up with some spam through the smoke. That will work out for elimination onto Zap. So that's one way to counteract it. And I feel like often when we saw this comp become popularized by Fnatic, it's just like, how do you deal with a double tap contingency down these long choke points? Yep. And unless you can find a way to do things like fault line it or paranoia it feels like it's free entry. This time Xander just steps up, finds a kill, and shuts down the play.
If anything, the first thing was step away from the ult that prevents him from getting all these kills after, because this would have been a different story as well if he got caught by that. That's a C site open. That's contingency, as you mentioned before, that gets so much value because there was no defenders on the side of M80 holding up towards the garage. And that's the other thing, too. On the other side of the attack, though, for 2G, they never really went into any garage control for the split into the C site. So there wasn't really any big ways to really attack Xander. With him dancing out of the garage, at least there in the mid-round, Pricey gets that kill and an opportunity here for 2G to turn it around on a pulse plan.
They need to worry about what happens over towards garage. Fault line will come through first, trying to get the isolation over to Luis. He's trying to get the teleport out, and Koalanu in and out of the dark cover. That is just enough to keep Luis occupied. But keep in mind, Pricey has made his way back over. Puts down the initial trap. Cyber Cage about to expire. Nismo on the corner. Gets the first one cleanly. Maybe a chance for isolation. Oh, nearly, but Koalanu does not miss. Pops off in the player cam, and M80 get on the board.
Oh, that was so close there for 2G, because that back TP coming in from Luis was actually quite sick, because most of the times the Omen TP's outside of B main, out of contention, out of any danger, and he's willing to go head-to-head against players inside the A-Link. And thankfully for M80, it was a dash available from Koalanu. Goes right through the smoke, and Luis couldn't get that pick. And then almost Pricey winning a 1 versus 3. So despite M80 having a great start with how Xander was holding towards the C site, it still ended up being a very, very costly round for M80 to win. They carry over and off, but look at the rest of the buy. It's half shields, only a guardian, and a couple of rifles.
Contingency out. BCJ aggressive through A long, playing for the orb. Collects it. and wants more. Bold, to say the least, but at least confirms the information. You also saw for a moment the contingency was already thrown over towards C. So that's not part of this play. What do you use here if you're 2Game Esports to crack the code on either of these sites? Because usually it's a double tap contingency. They don't have that anymore.
Yeah. Could have been potentially trying to control the A orb as well while they're selling this fake towards C, so you could have a dimensional drift.
Yeah.
So you're actually really nullifying the opportunity to gain good value out of your recon. And literally talking about recons, it's the owl drone to try to sell a fake. You're trying to insert Pricey here after you fall back, but they didn't break the owl drone. This is huge now for M80.
Oh, Pricey, well, I mean, that's just an overheat from Xander. He thinks he's got him dead to rights. The paranoia comes through, but Pricey just holds the angle, turns that into a free first blood. Nismo, fault line, avoided by Silence, who's able to catch him to the dark cover, plus get the reset of the double tap. Luis, up and over, not gonna be able to take down Koala Noob, who tries to now have to do it himself. Operator and knives to play with. 125 collective health pool, left. But the spike is on A, and there's a long lurk from Zap.
Give me the spike planted.
Good first. And if he gets the read into Zap, maybe there's a chance, but he's just trying to hold the op in. Yep, he will just narrowly, well,
wait, is making noise though.
So just narrowly avoids Zap, and he runs right back to his direction, and 2G will get up for again 5-1, feeling it.
It still was a great attempt, though, from Xander to run it down. Yes, it looked questionable at the play, but to follow behind the owl drone that it spots the opponents because the owl drone didn't get shot. He blinds 2 players, but look at that. Pricey staying very close and being nearsighted, you're still able to potentially spot the tip of the barrel of Xander walking through, and you win that fight. That was huge there for the side of 2G, but once again, not necessarily defaulting to a point where it's just Euro making noise at this point. That double walk down in that spot into sewers, once again, shows here for M80 that they're being thrown for these fakes.
Yeah. Dimensional drift contingency, wide open C site. Just classics and a sheriff for net. Hunter's Fury, maybe, but unlikely. Spike will be planted. Luis will make sure of it. And there will be a long lurk from Koala Noob. He saw the gate crash come back, but he's in a little bit of trouble getting through this trap wire. The rest of his teammates stacked up, looking to play the other side of the site. Paranoia cuts across, recon bolt in the backside. Is there any opportunity for Koala Noob to get some isolation? Doesn't look likely. Double tap gets re-earned, but no, Koala Noob does make his play, but can only catch one by surprise. Hunter's Fury gets called here. Nat is able to tally off of the neural theft that also, I think, got popped, or probably the recon that got initially hit. But Luis getting 2 has now made this round extremely expensive for M80, and BCJ will not have a chance to further onto the Fusel.
Especially when Koala Noob can get that backstab there, and that allows here that neural theft to be thrown by Pricey just on the body of Koala Noob, which then gives you the information and not an opportunity for Xander to really go in and diffuse off the smoke that he covered himself with to try to hit that diffuse. So it looked pretty good, at least to flood back in that moment, and it looked fairly decent in the amount of damage that they were able to do, but it turns out to be fairly costly on the eco side of M80 when you forced out and you try to gamble play with the Hunter's Fury.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt here on your attack side for M80 for sure.
Yeah, really, really, really badly.
Here.
Well, operators back in hands of Koala Noob. Rifles for everyone else. A couple of light armors to be considerate of. Kill contract is nearly earned for Silence. Same can be said for Zap and his Hunter's Fury. The only other thing to really kind of consider is if Net finds elimination, he will have a lockdown. Angle held by Koala Noob over towards A long. But the hit for 2G. Looking to once again just play this contingency down. See, that is a very interesting contingency. Doesn't really block the lane. It just tries to block that top platform, and there will be no execute beyond that.
If anything, it gets you on the top of the C, the top C at least, if you want to explode around that. But that said, you're seeing how M80, with the amount of times that they were trying to fight back against Yoru making a lot of noise and getting TP'd out and being forced on these rotates, they're anchoring up a little bit more. But when they anchor up a little bit more, look at how much space 2G has to be able to play around.
Yeah. Well, this could get interesting.
So reactive.
Yeah, Net's going to get an alarm off. Yeah, this is a good look from the observers. He gets 1. He can immediately get to a position to pop lockdown and stop this play from even happening. He's looking to get out of sight. Wants the lockdown to come through. Hits it immediately. Now time is going to be an issue here for 2G on this approach. Again, they've got no contingency here. Legitimately, not just by ability, but also by where they rotate to. They're going to try to go B. Oh, this is mercy. Can they actually get there in time?
It's Gonna be
They're
C.
going to do it one step forward. They're going to go to C. BCJ is going to have a recon for this, just coming down to does he get a read?
He can't, because he already used a Hunter's Fury on the previous round. So even if he gets a recon there, he can't deny the plant.
10
So this
seconds
is still winnable for 2G.
It's a
They
bold
haven't walked
rotate.
out for the retake either.
The problem here for 2G is they have to be very cautious of is there going to be some sort of a flank with a heavy defensive stack towards A. Spikes the first one up. Good damage. Does not collect the elimination, though. Koala trying to enter with an operator. Great fault line. Hits almost everybody. Now here comes the flood. Spike able to hold for the first. Trying to lock down the site best he can. Prize deals with one. Trades back and forth. Koala still landing. Zap off of the reveal. Trying to come back over towards the spike. Able to take down one, but nothing more. It's Koala for 3. And with the spike diffused halfway, it's M80 getting their second.
And you called it a beautiful fault line coming out from Nismo because they were trying to set up a high-low right after. They avoided the first flash being thrown by Nismo as well. But then after the fault line happens, you saw already that Luis tried to jump into safety, back towards default, trying to make plays in that spot, and then unfortunately falls, and it makes that lurk not work out here for Zap. He does do some econ damage at that point, but it becomes a good flood retake in the end based off the fault line thrown from Nismo. So great value once again off the utility. Yes, he maybe has not had the best in terms of fragging capabilities in these roles so far in the last 2 maps, but he's definitely making the util work in favor for M80 to at least salvage his second round.
I'm not gonna lie, this ISO gameplay has been less than inspiring. Contingency and kill contract both come up empty again. Site will be taken, but M80 are fully healthy, and they are one Nismo elimination away from having a Rolling Thunder for this retake. And Luis has shown himself, and Nismo nearly had
They
a
haven't
chance
cleared
to punish.
sewers though. They haven't cleared sewer shift, and there's double players there for M80.
Looking at it, and Net will say not so fast. Nismo now from the front. Net working through sewer, gets a second. Paranoia is going to land. And the fall down from Nismo doesn't really work out, actually. Silence still trying to hold from inside hell. Luis right there with him, but he catches a face full of frags. Just down to Zap, which has been enough before. Recon Bolt does not get around the corner, but it may work out. Koala Noob still gets revealed by it. He knows it's on the edge, but Koala Noob with the operator not going to miss. A second tallied in a row, and M80 have brought us back to within 3.
I was actually surprised that it got the ping there onto Koala Noob, but didn't look like he was really overextending on the missed recon dart that was thrown there by Zap. That could have been a dangerous wallbang there where you could have gone lucky for Zap and convert here this clutch in a 1 versus 3. But for somebody that we've been praising for the first 2 maps where Zap was getting so many multi-kills, he's actually been falling a little bit quiet here going into these rounds where in these moments where you have to clutch or you have to step up to the plate, we're not seeing it as much anymore. No. So it's not really just on, you know, Silence and Spike faltering just a little bit. And again, their stamina is being tested in this BL5, and it's falling short.
Heat check. Koala Noob just runs it down A long. Oh my. And all of a sudden, 2G got to be sitting here like, what? No way. If Koala Noob starts doing that, we're in trouble.
I'm down for it because Koala Noob pushing 1 extremities for like a 1 and done, while you have Xander inserted towards long C and a triple stack towards that spot. Now you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone, right? You're putting 1 at the front, getting these kills, but we'll talk about it in a bit. There's a lurk from Luis. It's a 4-on-4.
Really well done. Good isolation. Luis getting aggressive. Now the Rolling Thunder trying to find the retake over from the A side of the map. Luis trying to shake off the status effects. Now takes his peek, and what a timing from Luis, gets 2. Net, Koala Noob trying to make this happen. Knives are out. Has to deal with the initial trap. Hunter's Fury. It's able to get to halfway, and he sneaks away. Koala Noob almost tries to break the corner. Net with the retrigger. Not gonna work as Prize will finalize the last 2 kills, and 2G find themselves their 7th.
Again, this is just going to be continuous good macro play from both of these teams. Whenever Koala Noob, if he realizes here that he took down the Euro, it was a solo play on that side, technically, they had the right read where, you know, Euro TPs with the rest and be working towards the C site. So they had 3 players stacked there for M80. But this is a great way for 2G to just up the tempo wherever, you know, the pressure is coming from, and they've avoided at least the pure stack that was happening here from M80 towards the C side to get the plant towards B. But it's Koala Noob activating everything, and now they're 2 rounds away of closing at least the gap where 2G looks so dominant in the first half. have to think on their toes, push it down towards middle. Low buy that they have here. Hero rifle for Koala Noob. And no opportunities to retake because there's a double trip in the back from Pricey.
Yeah, they say one's not enough, we'll throw both. No way Koala Noob gets through that. He is on the hero rifle. Aldrone will see just silence. This angle from Spikes is a dangerous one. Paranoia is out though. That pushes him back towards the gate crash. And keep in mind, Net is still in position here, trying to threaten the flank. But look at the From the Shadows play. You've got Luis now flanking the flank, so to speak. He's behind the play of the defense. Net has done well over the backside. Xander gonna get to halfway. You gotta go, you gotta find it. Xander almost gets it defused, but Luis does get into the dark cover in time to stop any antics from happening.
That was so close as well. I think it was like a second away from being able to get that defused there, just under the nose of 2G. We're at M80 with the pressure that Net has been bringing. You talked about double trips here, where technically you should not be able to get value out of a flank. He still manages to get 2 Sheriff kills on top of that against 2G. But thankfully, from the shadows coming back, the last line of offense for Luis is able to save that round for 2G and not make it and give the momentum back in favor of M80. But another opportunity with a knock. Looking back towards the A side. Still have it stacked towards the C side now for M80. But 2G is trying to up the tempo. Going with the contingency. Off here, the dimensional drift to clear out the C site. And it's going to be a full execute now.
Whoa, wait. There may be an opportunity for a recontest their garage here for M80. Spikes has moved his way back into this position, but he has missed the crossover towards the right side of the window. Spike planted. Long flank from Koala Noob. Net lockdown out. Aldrone scouts this. Does Spike want to try to go to deny the lockdown here? Certainly Xander's in position though. Lockdown does get destroyed, and Silence takes good effect of it. Kill contract comes through. 1v1 me, bro.
Oh, they're gonna knife it. They're gonna knife it.
Later.
Never mind. At least they had everything going here shift after. If Silence was going to lose that fight, there was definitely going to be a guaranteed round no matter what coming out from 2G. But the value that Prize has been getting out of these neural theft to not allow Net and M80 to get the most value out of the lockdown was everything there, especially giving his life away. I think that was Spike as that Yoru. Even if he died to Xander, at least he broke that lockdown. And that was a great selfless play to allow 2G to tally up 9 rounds of their first half on a composition that they've never played before, on a map that they haven't played all year, and they have an opportunity now to push this into M80's permaban that they never played all year.
That
couldn't write Ascension any better than this.
Legitimately cinema that happens. But that's, again, you know, for 2 game, 9 is great, especially considering, like we've already mentioned, not a map that they've played. The ISO was effective in terms of Silence finding kills, but I'm not going to lie, there were moments where it didn't look like the ISO was finding the same value that you would normally expect, especially considering these, you know, trendsetters of Fnatic and how they played it, but still making good use of it. I mean, the first half numbers are pretty solid. Obviously, at the end, it starts to come through, but I don't know. It's one of those situations that now I think the question really ramps up because, let's be candid, ISO and Yoru on defense, you have to play aggressive with. It's just, or you have to play full retake with it, and there's not really any other option. You really can't finesse between getting pulled. It's either you have to play as a 5-man force early for something like a trap play, or you have to play for a 5-man retake. It's just not a lot of extra utility on the ISO and Yoru that helps out, especially on a 3-site map.
I still think, though, they have a pretty decent composition to hold somewhat into the defensive side, because Pricey could definitely hold a lot of information on his own on one half of the map, while the rest here could try to play. He can still play good retakes with recon darts and flashes coming out from Spike and Zap. So I don't necessarily think that it's necessarily a bad cop to play on defense. Definitely, because you're playing double duelists, it almost looks like you have to be fairly aggressive, but there's still great util coming out from an ISO that allows for you to scale back, that maybe they could have things going on their side here for 2G's side on the defense.
See how it all builds. This 2G squad has been kind of stapled. Their identity as being an aggressive side, or aggressive team rather, I should say. And Spikes will get a lobby control. Sentry turret nearby, alarm bot most pressingly in front of him. But he can at least play the contact and gate crash. Well, not anymore, so he can gate crash back if he wants to. But instead, it's going to be an owl drone that gets him out of position. Doesn't give it up fully yet, though, and Luis, meanwhile, is just going to see if he can find contact on this little shoulder peek. Darts are in, Paranoia is through, 2G want to fight this. There's the double tap. First shot, going to be countered. 1-for-1 goes the initial exchange, but M80 not feeling good about this backup, and now they're going to go to garage.
This whole time, it was just one player per Spike on the A side, so they still have the most numbers over here towards B and C for 2G.
They've read this, though, have 2G's defense. Xander maybe thinking about trying to push to the window. Net is already up. Do they hear anything? Here's the re-wrap back. Luis holding into a corner. Would just need to go 1-for-1, you'd think. M80 doubling back again, but Luis has cleared the front of B, so now the defense can start to get to work on putting their attention right back over towards C. Slipping through, Paranoia out, Spikes! Pardon me? Sorry, man, I guess I wasn't familiar with your game. 2-tap headshot comes through, and the last one standing is Xander, who's flashed beyond recognition, and whoa! How about those ghost shots?
A game of cat and mouse in the pistol round. Having two players inserted into the garage, both Xander and Net. They try to pull a rotate by running back towards the front of the B side. Net calls it. Here's a little bit of a rotate. They're weaker now on the B side. They're weaker now on C. Let's try to head back towards that spot. But 2G was not giving them any type of space or any type of free kills. It ended up being a 1-for-1, and then Spike's just playing the off angle when you don't have too much utility left on your last moments trying to hit the site. And there you just land your shots, you win the pistol, and it's looking once again to be, unfortunately, not the cleanest Haven that we see coming out of M80.
What a predictive play here by Luis, followed up by the vulnerability off the ice, I believe, from the other side of the map. Looked like it, Nismo last one left, and he's stuck. Wow. Overwhelming pressure. 2G up 11-3 on a map they have yet to ever show, and whoa, are they cooking.
Okay.
And that's also here on the amount of times that M80 have been playing this map of Haven, where they've been studying the tape when they were playing against All Knights on top of that yesterday, when M80 lost that, 13-3 against All Knights. And definitely 2G is like, oh, we definitely have what it takes here to play against this composition, and how All Knights look pretty good here against M80. And yes, you've mentioned that vulnerability to fight back towards the B main hit was perfect. Look at another contingency. Shock darts on top of that, but it misses.
Yeah.
Thankfully here we stayed back for M80.
That's a lot of utility spent, but 2G will have a lobby control. And as Spikes makes his way over to C, he's looking to hit a blindside up and over the box. There's the pop flash, and he sees everything. The right click, though. Oh, no, the Bulldog spam does not connect. Prizey, backside of the site, trying to stay alive through the aftershock. Has to find cover because BCJ's on the way in. And M80 are going to get their fourth as soon as they deal with that.
And that is a saving grace there for M80, because you've mentioned, yes, a lot of utility was being used there for 2G's side, but it actually funneled and corralled all of M80 for a hit towards the C side, where all of the Cypher trips were being set up there for Prizey. I think we're just a little bit, we committed it a little bit too much, rather, for the flash out of Spikes. Yes, they got so many players blinded, and he just had a little bit of an RNG moment where he couldn't even get one, unfortunately. But outside of that, you're kind of leaving your teammate out for stranded right there for Prizey. Look at how much utility was being used against them towards the back of the site. Fully flat on top of that, too, for Quality to pick up the free kill. So that is, again, saving grace for M80 to convert a very healthy gun round against the bonus of 2G. But 2G still has great control at the defensive side, putting M80 in moments and positions where they want to fight them until that happens.
Yeah, just a walk down 1v1, and Xander's not done. Whoa, okay. How about that? Opens things up nicely here. Gun round looking pretty precarious for 2G. 3v5. Net on the back pedal. Will get safely into a lobby. He's the one responsible for this angle, though. And Spikes is coming across the corner, and Net is primed and ready. 5v2. Surely 2G are looking to save.
No choice at that point. This is a lure. I mean, an expensive buy coming out from 2G and nothing to carry over with the extension of his T rifles, but M80 are overreading this. They're going back towards the C site. The camera just spotted them too.
Yep. Trapped to allow the defense to stay on site. Cyber Cage gonna get popped. Prize staying healthy through. Luis off the reveal. Makes good on one. M80 stuck at the choke point. Paranoia hits everything, but just the transfer not there for Prize. At the target-rich environment, maybe you just don't know who to shoot at sometimes, as M80 will clean it up and put themselves another one on the board.
2 times there where a pop flash just catches M80 off guard, and unfortunately there, as you've mentioned, Chip, too many targets to choose from. You're like, I don't know which one. But thankfully here, you're able to convert another round there for M80, and that could have been fairly dangerous looking on the side here of the attack because of the crossfire that was set up from that trip. Ended up being so good for 2G, where it looked like they were going to save these ones. Look at that Vandal moment.
The slow motion is criminal. Fault line set through early for M80 down A long. Pistols out in full sheriffs, and Spikes is dead. There's just nowhere to go there, brother. M80 looking like they just want to just take this straight over to A. Silence has been good in these moments, but not this time. And that will likely be enough for them to just say, let's take our 5v multiple somewhere else if we want to. Get the defense a little bit more limited on numbers.
And this was where you're going to start scaling ultimates as well here for M80. So far, the second half has been working well for them. 2G, as I mentioned before, it's not necessarily the composition that you think would be the weakest here on the defensive side. I still think they could be fairly decent, but they are giving a little bit of their tells at the beginning of these rounds where they keep trying to go for these contingency shock darts. Blinded hits here onto M80, where M80 so far at the beginning of these rounds, they haven't really been contesting that area from the get-go. They've been avoiding all that utility from the start, and that gives them an opportunity to work that map a little bit more to their favor, especially on a 3-sided map, where now that conditioning here for M80 that says, hey, we're not really hitting this A site really, and we're finishing towards C a lot into the mid round. You might see one of those moments where they just want to brute force it back after the initial utility from 2G on the A side and just re-hit A, especially going into the next round where Nismo has a Rolling Thunder available for them to really hit this site.
Well, it's Blacklight flawless here for M80 against the full sheriffs of 2G. And the Copium tank starts to fill up round by round. 11-3 comeback, I don't want to say is impossible because we've seen it once before already in this event. Shout out to that Dolores and All Knights matchup. Never thought I'd see the day in a major tournament that would happen, but it did. So there's definitely a chance here. Just comes down to, can you keep the puzzle putting together, keep this momentum building? Because again, I just worry that for 2G off this composition, they're going to get caught trying to play too aggressive.
Definitely. And now for M80 as well is to try to see if they will want to counter into that aggression too. So 2G now realizing, this is a great moment to call the timeout. I think there was a couple of rounds ago where 2G felt like they had full control of this map, so they permitted themselves to overpeak and really tried to overextend a couple of these fights just because their shots were landing on how they were fighting against M80. But they're realizing here that M80 are really staying as a pack to try to fight into map control, not too much defaulting into extremities or keeping players inserted into these heavy gun rounds. So now the timeout is going into that. Would you want to save? Okay, I thought we were going straight into action. I was going to go crazy there. But I thought it was going to be in those moments where you're going to try to save a little bit more of the vulnerability in the shock darts to try to play this retakes, because you really haven't had a chance to go for a full 5-player retake either.
Yeah, that's very true. So lots of things to discuss, a lot of things to think over as we get into our next full gun round here in round 18. Lots of ultimates on the table as well. In particular, look at Nismo with the Rolling Thunder. Spike may also just sit here and say, I've got Dimensional Drift. Let's heavy stack one side of the map and play for retake on the other as Zap gets to work on his Hunter's Fury. Spike's going to get aggressive, though. Oh, that's just one of those moments where you wonder, maybe a little too greedy.
Phantom moment, though. It was a 140 there onto Koala Noob where he potentially was trying to TP out of that. But again, the game plan was there. Rolling Thunder going into the A site. You saw that for 2G. They wanted to play a little bit more passively and try to play the retake with util, but this time they won't have spikes, so they won't have flashes to retake into the site for 2G.
Yeah, Xander's going to take a lot of chunk damage off those shock darts from Zap. Are you joking? Follow from the Aldrone sees a good amount of information. There is no one on the long flank, though. So for 2G, this is all about trying to flood your way through. Contingency comes out first. Aftershock holds it off. Paranoia now on the way in. Quality trying to hold early. Fault line pushes him off. And 2G can't find a way into the site. they're out of utility. Now it's just got to do it the hard way. Quality off the reveal. Silence trying to play around the backside of the dark cover. It's not going to work out as 2G cannot find a way to crack the code on the spike site, and M80 have flipped the eco back into their favor again.
Because the best thing that they had was a paranoia to try to combine with that recon dart. It only pings one player on top of that, and the other ones were just able to avoid it because you're not flashed, you're not being blinded by a Euro flash. You can't really run around you don't have to run around the site trying to look for some cover. And speaking of cover, the one-way is being thrown by Xander as well into the spawn to not allow 2G to get the best out of the refleds once they find the pings, when they move in with a contingency wall. So that's beautiful display from M80 in these post plant scenarios. Again, doing a great job punishing the first blood against the overcommitment of Spike right here. Once again, trying to contest towards the A side.
Whoa.
Okay, that's how you answer back.
Yeah, I'll say. And now there's an opportunity with this stack over towards A-Long. They can push up and collect this weapon, and M80 are aware of that. So they're going to make an aggressive move over towards Spy Cam, gets deleted immediately. Smoke coverage over towards the garage elbow and over towards the backside of the defensive spawn. How risky does Prize want to get it? He gets one trapped, so that's enough for him to find an elimination, but the Nanostorm to follow will keep the numbers, at least for now, in favor of 2G, but the plant is on.
And ults too, but Net's gonna put his down right away. Are they gonna wait this out? They're gonna have to sphere it, so we are committing into this, but Luis dies.
Yeah, the 1-for-1's not bad considering it's a double ult setup. Lockdown expires. Here comes the retake. Xander wants to hold close. Steps in. He's able to avoid the recon, but not the double tap. Just down to Nismo. Blind is through. Kill contract is out. And again, there's no way that he gets out of this one. Zap is right there waiting in 2G. Put us on match point.
How does a double tap save you as Nismo goes inside that smoke? He actually hits the headshot, but the double tap saves him, which then allows there for the rest of 2G to flood inside that smoke. The spike flash coming out of that one as well. You already knew it was going to be a commitment coming out here from 2G as they were committing on these fights and winning these fights before M80 was still able to set up into the post plant. And yeah, you're going to call the timeout for M80 for sure. This is map point for 2 game. Again, first time on the stage playing a BO5, and they're about to push this into a map 5.
Unbelievable scenes. I mean, wow. Drama thick as ever. 2 game. Now a chance to send us the distance, where they would technically, again, coming out of the upper bracket, this is where their advantage comes to play, is at the end of a series that looks like this. But can they get it over the hurdle? Because even though that's a throwaway in some regard by M80, there's still a lot of success they've been able to build on offense. So this tactical pause coming out of it, can they clean up those things? Can they find a way to catch 5 in a row? The problem would be 2 game in that span are going to have a chance to earn some of these ultimates back again.
And you almost have to at this point here shift. Because again, bind the permaban for M80. The last time they played that map was a map 4, the 4th map that they played against the Guard, where they lost in overtime, 12-14. And you definitely don't want to force this into the 5th map.
Yeah.
Everything in the map veto is in your favor here to close it right now.
Flex pickup, though. Offensive operator spikes, I believe, was seen by that Aldrone late as it started to cruise its way into the garage window. 1v1 isolated between the Omens here over towards A lobby. Luis sneaks under the box. Silence nearby. But all of this is just Xander trying to make sure the flank stays held, as garage has already been taken and the 2G defense are going to rely on a trap wire to defend B and stack the C site instead.
I was about to mention that too, because the turret hasn't seen anybody towards middle. I think it would have been a good call as they're stopping the tempo here to maybe break some util towards the front. That would pull out the rotate out from 2G or force the hand on that side. Seems to be the case to start. They are trying to walk up slowly here. It's been smoked out. Now Luis is alone, but that drop from Xander.
Oh, we're just not checking corners. Get careful. For a moment there, I was about to say, about to be the world star of the century. That comes through. Zap over towards the back, only able to find one before Quality fits the trade, but is that enough to securely get this plant put together? 4v2. There's the vulnerability. Fault line to respond. Silence sidesteps. It doesn't make a difference. BCJ still snaps over it. Oh, BCJ opens the door for a 1v1. Luis v Nismo. Luis off the bat. Nismo prepared for this. How does the action happen? Ah, Louise wins the 1v1. You want him at 5? You got it.
Louise with the first and the last kill. The most important ones coming through here for 2G to push this map to their victory and to push this into a map 5. Backstabbing Xander. Xander was not ready for that one and goes for the quick swing. 50-50 chance to go for the clear, and he gets his right to instantly get the headshot there onto Nismo, the defuse, and now to have the Ascension series decided on Bind, where again M80 has never played this map.
Can you say that louder one more time for the folks in the back?
M80 has never played this map, and he lost it in overtime the last time last year on this very stage of Ascension.
Oh, drama. It's absolute cinema. Could it get any better than this? I don't know. It's going to be a little bit of a prickly point. As Vance mentioned, some PTSD possibly around the corner, but it's a map 5 and we come back after the break.
The game starts long before the game starts. And warm hands are faster hands. Gain the upper hand and power up your pregame warm-up with Zippo hand warmers.
And it's official. We have a map 5 ahead of us. After being up in the series, M80, they're 2-1. They go over to Haven, something that has been a ban coming out from the side of 2G, something we have not seen from them, and something where they pull out this double duelist, this ISO, this Yoru. We had so many questions going into it. But right away, Jen, they were answering. They had this aggression. They had this confidence. They had what it takes to win, to push it the distance.
Yeah, it just felt like such a YOLO comp where, yes, this was seen in VCT in the past, but for this team, for 2G, they've only played an ISO Yoru, not with this exact composition, but these two duelists on Breeze, and that was a while ago. 2G just resorted to being very solo play focused, hence the ISO and the Yoru. And to beat the Yoru goat of Koala Noob on this map, by the way, is crazy. But the issue for me was when watching M80's defense, which got rolled. I think they just let 2G into the C site for free. No smokes, no attempts at contesting, no hindrance, and the retakes were really tough for M80 to pull out. And maybe M80 were confident because of those two duelists and maybe the limited utility that 2G had, but 2G were frying them. And even on the post plants, like M80 weren't smoking C long, so then 2G had better angles to fire from. So yeah, retakes were tough for M80.
Which is crazy as well, because the C site on defense is usually where M80 thrive. I really respect how good they are at flood retaking, especially over at that site. But yeah, 2Game, they were just brute force up in their face, taking the fight to them. Like, your retake be damned, we are just going to kill you. They were getting so many aggressive kills on attack. And I mean, that is obviously the name of the game when you have this double duelist, and especially the ISO. That is what ISO does. Run in, shoot people, have the shield up. There were a lot of times as well where the double tap shield was actually just purely keeping Silence alive.
I mean, even at the end, just through that smoke and being able to have the shield and that double chance at life. And there is so much flashiness about these duelists. We didn't even really got to talk about anyone else on the team. He's a fantastic save for gameplay coming on out, and just the entire team really stepping up when needed. So huge congratulations to them to push it into this map 5. And when we were talking about this 2G squad and what we got to see on Haven, from the get-go, they kind of set a pace here, Jen, that was like, oh, okay, like they got these ideas. They've been banning it out, but this is good. I mean, even going back as early as round 3, a little duelist cheekiness when we're looking at sewers.
Yeah, I mean, the Yoru was faking them out, and you would think Koala Noob would know this page in the strat book. And there was one round in round 3 where Spike had just teleported out, got a kill on A, and it got all of M80 scrambling to get to A when the hit was actually happening at C, which again, the retakes are going to be even more difficult for M80 if they lack time to do it. So it was mind games. It was also great fragging from the 2G department using those duelists. But hey, mad respect to Spike. Big fan of his Yoru.
I mean, that kind of set the pace as well, because when we were looking at that attacking end here, Wyatt, we needed the duelists to kind of be stepping up, and it wasn't just Spike. We got to see some cheekiness there, but we got to talk about Silence and kind of what the impact was coming out from here, especially with all the rounds that 2G was able to string together.
Definitely. Silence was fully rejuvenated on that map. I mean, just on his attack side alone, he went 15 for 8. That's where he really got the huge majority of his kills. Again, just this brute force fighting forward. This was such a cool way to end the half off too. Just dodge that paranoia, 2 kills, sends Nismo to the gulag, beats him in a 1v1 to swap sides after that. It's because of him they got out to such a huge lead that despite M80 starting to string some rounds together, when they got on attack, it just didn't matter. They were already in position to win. He literally got more kills on attack on Haven than he got on either of the last 2 maps in their entirety. And what a time to heat up, because when we get to the next map, he's going to be on Raze. He's got to keep this form up if 2G want to get into the partnership league.
You're exactly right. What a time to be heating up. We have to start talking about this map 5 and what is ahead of us now. Looking at this bind, leaving it as the map 5 in the series, I think a better script could not have been written. When you're looking at 2Game of what they've gotten to show us on bind, this has been strong for them. And M80, completely unknown. One time in M80's history have they ever played this map. last year in the grand finals. They took an overtime loss to the Guard, and it was the beginning of the end for them, losing out on the 4th map shortly after, and the series, losing their shot in VCT Americas. They have an opportunity now to rewrite that script, but they've permabanned it all year long. Jen, we don't know what they have in store for us, but that's the same thing that we just said for 2G on Haven, and look what happened there.
Yeah, I got a small bit of cope because this is an amazing version of the M80 roster, a different one than when they face the Guard. Now you have BCJ, who if they go to the Gecko, which I assume they will, he's an incredible Gecko player when it comes to Ascension Challengers overall. Like, yeah, they don't have M80's raise is a big question mark, but have you ever really doubted what M80 can do when they don't have enough time on Jet? Koala Noob will go crazy. I think this is strong. You saw how Xander looked on Icebox, how they worked around his walls and tempo to crunch teams pushing past it. I have cope for M80, but yeah, this is not a map you wanted to get to.
I mean, a little more than cope. Going into this and remembering that match from last year, I think there is the possibility here. The thing is Silence was popping off and really starting to warm up that last map. Last year, when we saw this overtime loss for M80, it was a step up from Nismo to get them to that point in the first place. That trio from last year, Nismo, Koala Noob, and Xander, all big step-ups. Koala Noob has been showing up on the day. Xander, there's so much to say. Nismo, when he plays lights out, it's so good for this team. And when we're looking for that firepower, Wyatt, that we need here for the bind, I'm looking at Nismo, and it needs to be now or never.
Yeah, if Nismo plays Raze for the last map of any competition M80 will be playing this year, and it's the map to decide whether or not their 2 years of hard work, this extra year of sticking together to try and make it into the partnership league, will all be worth it. He used to play Raze for this team so often and was fantastic on the Agent. Has pretty much been playing only Breach with a little bit of KO. If he can find his form, if he's on that Agent, M80 can win this game. They can win this upset map that is their permaban.
They're going to get up against a very lethal trio on the 2G side of, first you got Zap on the Sky, who's been lights out, going to be throwing out the lights too when it comes to this upcoming map bind. Then you got Spike on the Gecko, a duelist that frags on it even when he's not playing duelist, and Silence on the Raze. This is, I think, going to be a solid map for 2G to try and convert against an M80 strat book that they got to dig deep for.
I gotta say, this, as the final map, it really doesn't get more poetic. This is the first map that 2G played, debuting in this Ascension tournament, crushing Rada and defying the expectations everyone had for them as the Brazilian second seed. And for M80, it's the map they always ban, that the last time they played it was a loss to the Guard when they failed to qualify last year. I mean, it doesn't get more storybook ending than this.
The script writer's working overtime for this one, that is for sure. But the defiant expectations from 2G and M80, the favorites, now coming down to this. The Blacklight Agent Select. We've talked about what we know from 2G. We talked about expectations for M80, but let's see where they decide to go. On out, it's going to be Koala at Raze, Nismo on the Sky. This first look here, Wyatt, at M80 and what they're about to offer in this map 5.
Yeah, earlier this year in NA Challengers, Koala Noob was picking up the Raze at time before they swapped up their Lotus comp, for instance, and he looked pretty good, but Nismo always looked a tad bit better. Koala Noob is in great form, though.
It all comes down to this one final map here in the grand finals. The whole season coming down to this. Will 2Game defy expectations one last time? Or can M80 close out what they couldn't last year? Time to head over to Bind, and for the final time today, to your casters, Vasily and Shift.
Of course, we have a mirror matchup, because why not? We have to see who's the better squad at the end of the day. It's going to be a tall obstacle to hurdle here for M80. There's pain points all around this map on stages that look like this. It's a map that should frame up for 2Game's favor, but shoulds, woulds, and coulds are all out the window here, Vance. We're in one final map worth of Valorant.
One more map to decide it all, and 2G gets to start on the attack. 2G are also shaky on this map. Yes, they defeated and dismantled Reta when they won like 13 rounds in a row before losing also in overtime against All Knights when they had a 9-3 lead. But all of this, all of the successes that they've been getting has been on the attack side, where they get to kick things off right here.
Aggressive setup here for M80 over towards the octagon. Wall goes up to the defense, look at the late recovery immediately. Paint shells are out, spam from both sides, but the ball comes through and it's this even trades back and forth. Pinstripe goes to kill feed, numbers in favor though of the offense. Molly at play. Louise and Xander trying to fight this one out. Not the greatest Molly you've ever seen, but Xander still tries to step up to take the fight. Doesn't work out. And now it's down to one of the big question points. Koala Noob, who's played a lot of Yoru and a lot of Omen, now finds himself on Raze. What can he do with this agent at hand? The answer in this round is nothing particularly captivating as 2G hold the numbers and win the pistol.
And now we get to talk about the storyline of M80 as well with this composition. Yes, Koala Noob has not played any Raze, I think, ever this year, ever since playing against the guard matchup. So this is a big question mark for him. And a lot of fans right now in North America seeing Nismo on this guy would scratch their heads being like, why don't we give this over to Nismo, who's always played it so well back in his Ghost Gaming days on top of that too. So this is going to be a huge test for M80 on the defensive side. They wanted to bring the fight in the first round. They do so in the second round, but they are getting denied by Silence once again. Being the spearhead, popping off on the previous map, and continuing to pop off now in map number 5.
Yeah, clean round here, just trying to do something crazy as I'm making the classics. Not going to work out. It only drops 1. And no weapon collection for prize, so we'll stick with what we've got for this bonus with just 1 repurchase leading to a ghost, it looks like. So pretty significant in terms of what this bonus will be, but now it's time to see what M80 really have to offer here on this defense.
Yeah, Shift, this is, again, 2 rounds where they tried to fight against 2G, where they didn't get the best success out of it. They wanted to have the cleanest trades as possible in the pistol round up towards the octagon. Yes, there was a few, but it was still 2G that was able to brute force their way through that line of defense and get that plant. And now not only there, a clean second round for 2G, the crowd, the Brazilian fans are screaming behind that. There is a lot of pressure right now for M80 having to play on this map. And this now gun round coming through is an extremity control on both Showers and B main, where you're giving a lot of space now over to this walk up on short. Maintaining Showers is great. They still have great delays possible with Koala Noob's paint shells and the mollies.
Man drops in, Molly tries to come through for Xander, but the push out is dramatic from 2G, and they will win back Showers, and with that, a couple of weapons. 2G looking good so far through the first 3. Follow-up attempt for M80 through heaven. If they can find a couple of picks, maybe there's a chance to try to play recovery, but the post-plant setup is deep. Decent spam coming out, but Spikes just pushes out away from it. Turns that in for a 1-for-1 trade, and from that point on, M80 will just have to sit and save.
Caught off guard with utility in their hands as Xander was trying to get that molly out onto default. Almost looking at how things are being set up here by M80, where they never really wanted to go for a Showers crunch. I potentially would have probably just wanted to leave G2 go for the plant instead, so you guarantee for you to have a 5 versus 5 retake and not force them off a spike plant defusal and then go into a TP where you get caught off guard and you rotates. Yes, Silence ties here from the spike, but this is a bonus round converted by 2G.
Yeah. Tried to get greedy for that Vandal, doesn't get away with it. But still, like you mentioned, it was just a bonus, so no worries here to get the purchase up. And the problem for M80 fans is you're going to have to wait a little while longer before we see what this defense is made of. Because so far, it's paper thin. And, well, to this point, I mean, again, it's, you know, a pistol round that really is just a trade fast over through B. The Showers crunch, like you kind of called, doesn't fully work out because 2G just take the fight to him on their bonus. And M80 still put together a pretty manageable purchase. The judge in play is, I think, the most considerable option, especially over towards this U-Haul position. Wingman at range, just getting his steps in, trying to get to work on the plan, and we'll be fine for it.
The good news is that the plant is there for the spam play, the lineups play, where M80 are going for a triple flank. Xander has to stay alive in U-Haul with his judge.
does well, does better than well. Finds essentially an elimination plus damage on the more. Prize flashed out of position, has to give up the angle. 3-man stack here for M80, but Luis turns and finds two, make it all 3. Last player left is Koala Noob, who just has to back away to salvage the Vandal.
That is so good from Pricey. Again, playing a great sentinel role in the previous round. This time around, gets contact on the play, nullifies the flash coming through from Nismo, and pulls up the wall so that everybody can just be focused on looking towards you all while Luis had the lineup. Yes, there's some damage coming through from Koala Noob. This is a saving grace. Keeping the Vandal into the next round, and probably going to be the hero rifle going into the next round for M80. So you're almost going to throw away run number 5 right here and have the showstopper available for round number 6, where you could hopefully string things back in favor of M80. But once again, tempo dictated now by 2G, and also from map control, post plant, entries, all being won. Everything is checked on the side of the Brazilian squad.
Wow. Already the tack pause comes through for M80. Lots to discuss, I'm sure, especially considering the fact that 2G really haven't been pressured at all in terms of what their initial setups have looked like on the offense. Yeah, you can go back to the pistol and really cite that, but it's the pistol. Who really cares now that we're into guns? So, what do you discuss here, Vans? I mean, are you looking to play more retake than M80 have been stapled on? Or do you want to try to see something more creative and maybe a bit more trappy in terms of using the teleporters and trying to see what quality to create in this raise?
Yeah, right now it really comes down to getting all those utility and ultimates available to have the best value out of these crunches. But so far, they have been trying to go for just this death ball of triple pushing into areas and kind of gambling where the hits would come from 2G at the very beginning. If not, again, once they realize that it was open and you go for a triple flank, that also gets denied. So I don't think they're going to go for these type of pushes, but more into just being more reactive and try to get this op up as soon as possible here. Oh, wait, we're buying around that rifle save.
Yep, and we're looking to just get aggressive with potentially a crunch towards showers. Problem is, Thrash is at the ready. Mosh dropped. M80 trying to hold the line here at B long, and no one checks for Xander in the corner. He's able to teleport back if he needs to, but Silence, he's able to get over through Hookah, make a mess of this setup, and find 3 of his own. So, essentially, another exchange that looks decent for M80 to start, but 2G find a way to get the 2v1 post plant.
And it almost looked there for 2G that it was going to be a fumble there towards long B because of that Thrash not clearing out towards the left side, but pushing out towards Hookah was everything to pinch back against M80. Koala Noob wants to go for this, though.
Has to. Thrash has been recollected. Boombot out. Thrash doesn't care about the Boombot. And it's just a pause. Koala Noob. Oh, he gets detained. I mean, what? That fish leapt upstream about a mile. Gets the connection, and that's enough for now a major impacting round count early in favor of 2Game.
That is some Thrash tech right there. It almost looks like he's basically KZing, getting the best amount of units possible to dodge all of those bullets, to not give a chance to Koala to spray it down, and even hit him on the edge of the radius. That now, right here, Shift, brings a big question mark because you're coming out of this timeout with a force buy and you still couldn't get around and you got diffed by a fish.
Sometimes it do be like that. Wow. Not a great start here for M80. 2Game, gotta be feeling saucy. Orbital strike at the ready. Outlaw in the hands of Silence, who is looking down B long to see if M80 are gonna try something crazy. Sheriffs and Stingers. Orbital strike and Thrash. That's the tools available for M80. One away from a showstopper. So if Koala Noob can connect on some sort of an entry towards A, maybe there's some extra kill potential there.
Just hoping for that's gonna get cleared.
Scout destroyed.
Breaks that, and you don't even need a spray. That's unfortunate. You're just trying to go for desperate measures here on your lower buy and hoping to get one. And you're seeing this forcing a hand out of M80, trying to peek out, trying to figure out where the mid-rounding is, and they're just being met by everybody so far. 2G changing the tempo, understanding they're playing against a lower buy here for M80 that potentially here it could be just a trap play that you were mentioning before that M80 would be trying to do, but instead you play back towards the spawn to walk into you, and now you have full control of A site and a wingman plant out in the area where Silence looks like he was going to be able to get some free kills, but it ends up being just a safer play for 2G to convert here this round. Yeah, definitely.
This is one of those moments where M80 may just want to try to play sacrifice to the spike here. I mean, you give away a couple of kills, you're looking at Seekers, you're closer to things like a Showstopper, you're closer to a Viper's Pit, but if they're going to make a walk-up happen, M80 finding a couple eliminations, okay, this is decent, but the problem is the post-plant. Spikes also avoids the mosh pit. Yeah. That's enough for him to step up, and of course, Nick, the defuse does not come through. So 2G survive with 3. M80 going to come into the next round with a couple of key ultimates, and this is going to be called a must-win round, you would think, for the M80 defense.
I did. I thought I heard, "It's all you, little," and then he died. And that's just unfortunate. That was a thrash being used there. Another one of those moments where I get it. I understand it. It's very similar to what happened here towards Haven. You're getting these instant kills. You have some map control. You also mosh towards U-Haul, so you think here that nobody's going to push in that spot. So you have an opportunity to bring up the thrash to get the pick, but Spike just slipped through. He slipped through and got those kills. And that is a thorn on the side. Thankfully, there's still 3 other ults to work with and an operator out in the hands of Koala Noob.
Right. Cloud gets sent down. The smoke integrity's down. Net can't get back into the Viper's Pit. 2G will successfully clear out the Viper's Pit at mid. Another ultimate off the table. So now you're looking at the Showstopper and the Orbital Strike remaining for M80 in a round where, again, this is a must-win, and Koala Noob is defaulting to playing contact with the operator to start.
Nismo is about to get tested here towards Long B. Everything's been broken so far, but this continues to be a default. TPs would be easy now for 2G to just pinch back on the A side. But again, you have the rocket available for Koala Noob here.
He's going to have to step up and try to hit something here. Dizzy will blind him. Hem still hits, though, and Net actually gets one. Koala Noob stays safe. Up and over. No, Orbital Strike can be sent out first. Oh, and that's actually some good damage from the Showstopper. Doesn't connect for the kill, but at least put some damage over towards that bench position. Spike has been delayed. But once again, Xander caught with the molly off. Nismo tried to catch the corner off the truck, not going to work out. And now you're just down to what Koala Noob can snap on. BCJ trying to follow up. They know they got a player in the corner. Operator exchange for a rifle. 2v2. Health pool advantage for M80. Post-plant setup. Advantage for 2G. Who sees who first? Corner for Prize. Gets caught by BCJ. Spikes is low. Bounce pass off the Mosh. Has to try to contest as the wingman gets to work. Doesn't find anything, though, as it gets denied by the Mosh Pit. Koala Noob shuts down the corner. And plenty of time for BCJ to lock down the defuse. M80 are on the board.
And that is some saving grace right there, because it looked like it was going to be, once again, a little bit of miscommunication on how you're trying to retake the site here for the team. Feeling the pressure for M80. It almost looks like opposite day, where it's 2G looking like they played 1,000 BO5s at the most important stages of their career, and M80 looked like they were the rookies going in to this stage, to this moment for the first time, with how here Xander got caught once again with Molly in his hand and dying to the crossfire set up by 2G. But 2 players are now stepping up and also standing up. At least our M80 players after winning the round. So at least they still have that fight. They do not look defeated, and they still have a chance here to fight back.
BCJ taking shots over towards the Trailblazer. Eyes it by the look of it. Silence taking the aggressive high ground angle. Seekers behind this offensive play. Responded to by the defenses as their own. Viper's Pit down. Plant not in yet, but on the way. Wingman in the cover of smoke. We'll get that down. 5v5. BCJ able to connect on Luis. Thrash now at the ready. That will detain at least a couple players over towards Showers. BCJ called upon to have to hold this. See if they can keep their teammates alive. Zap off the pinch. Does well to catch Xander. Flashing forward. Offense still holds the advantage. You got to go if you're at 80. You still got to find a way to clear out this Viper's Pit. 2G's making an absolute mess of the site. Flash comes through again. Silence able to connect. And now it's just down to Koala and Net. No chance for Net to do anything playing through Spices, and 2G will get their 7th.
And that is so good from 2G to continue to add the pressure around the pit. Despite them playing around that to control U-Haul and towards the spawn, to get that spike plant down, to throw the thrash towards the Showers, to engage and initiate the pinch back from the Showers, it really nullified the timing that Net was trying to get. He can't run with his knife out to help out the team. He'd give away his position if there was somebody there towards the short A. So the consistent pressure that's coming out here from 2G, it's not giving a chance for M80 to have the cleanest retakes. So you went into these moments shift that we just mentioned before. We talked about it, where they tried to play a death ball and they're getting denied. Now they're playing more reactionary, trying to play spike defusal with the utility. It's getting denied as well. And now you can't go for the single flank. Now you have an opposite Brazil here in favor of 2G in the lead, 7-1.
Oh, we're dealing with a forced buy situation for M80's defense. Stacked up and off! You line them up, you knock them down. 3 straight elos for 2G, and this forced buy has gone completely wrong. It's going to be 8-1.
2G are feeling it so far. Not only through these rounds that they're winning, but how they're winning them. You almost don't need too much util behind of how you're brute forcing against M80's line of defense. And this type of scoreline, look at how they're continuing to push forward. Fundamentals are there too. They're so composed in these fights that 2G are looking to be potentially the team to ascend in this BO5. Net about to get backstabbed. Won't realize here this pinch coming through. And that's no weapon save. More economy broken on the side of M80. 8-1 on the scoreline, where you're looking at the storyline here, Shift. Why the hell, looking at the map Vito, did we leave Bind as the last map available here to play on when you've never seen your opponents play on this map before? Usually you just want to bring it as the comfort to be like, technically this should be an easy win for us as a map 3. And they're gambling it on here. And yet, they're still showing a one-sided scoreline on the side of Brazil.
I mean, that's just the bonus of coming out of the upper bracket and getting both bans. It's just, it's a tough scene, man. But the advantage is coming through in full right now for 2G. Limited purchase here. Quality still affording into the Bulldog. Bold to say the least. As you drop this round, and you can't afford in the next, this may be too far gone. But can M80 click heads? That's what this round is going to have to rely on, with a couple of sheriffs in the play. BCJ on a pretty aggressive corner. Not going to happen. Silence finds the opener. That's enough for a plant to start to come through.
That's exactly that. You need your shots to hit.
Man.
And they are not hitting.
Nothing's going right now, fans. Well, unless you're a 2G fan, in which case everything's going right.
But I mean, you've seen the votes before this matchup started. It was like a 90%, 93% for M80, and 7% for 2G. So anybody that's watching this stream so far in the North American stream, they are not liking the results so far.
Well, Nismo, do what you can here, brother. He does get one, but it's not even a footnote. You've got some fully maxed out bank accounts on 2G's side. They are going to be able to purchase for the next year and a half.
I could almost hear Sean Garris melting into his chair right now with the results that we're seeing so far. But if I could instill any type of hope into the playstyle of this last map, remember, it's been 13 rounds, 10 rounds won on the attack when they went for the full reversal against Reta, and then also 9 rounds on the attack against All Knights before they lost 10-13 against All Knights when they took the defensive side. So 2G needs also the cleanest defensive round as possible. If not, M80 also still has a chance to come back.
They still need to tally more than they need to get these last 2 rounds. I mean, just flat out, M80 have to have these. Trailblazer will clear up E-Long. Hookah still being pressured, though, by 2G. Lurk on the way from Prize over towards Showers. Nismo kind of caught between watching the front side of Hookah and also being responsible for E-Long. Defensive wall goes up. Spam in towards Hookah. Some of it does land. And that's enough for 2G to just heal their way back in towards mid-sands.
Here's the thing, though. They've already inserted Pricey inside. Showers almost caught Koala Noob there. Thankfully, Koala Noob even makes it out quite healthy, and that's going to nullify a little bit of the rotation that they were able to pull out. Still a stronghold that M80 has here, right by you all. Thrash to initiate things. It will get a hit.
Oh, yeah, but it does go right in towards a teleporter, which Koala Noob just dives into? Excuse me? That's a red dot chase if I've ever seen one. And now all of a sudden, you
30
don't know
seconds left.
that Prize has gotten deep in towards the A site. BCJ thought he had this locked down. We'll be able to at least pick back up the Thrash. But here comes Prize. 2G also connecting through long. And it's just no shots are landing right now for M80. It's going to be a spike plant. Nismo trying to deny it. He does at least catch one and stop the plant down to 5 seconds. Follow up from that is good. 2v2. Do they actually offer these gunfights? Nismo and Xander still trying to hang on, and the clock will expire on the round. M80 maybe just get a little bit bailed out right there.
Oh my God, what a hero play towards the end to deny the spike plant, because you want to say that M80 is hungry here to ascend, but they are definitely not hungry for the spaghetti that's being dropped so far. Yes, you've detained a person with the Thrash into the TP, but Koala Noob had pain shells. You had a Mosh available here for BCJ as well. Why not throw it in there to try to guarantee the kill and not throw your body away? So if it wasn't for that kill onto the wingman, this would have been definitely a 10-1 scoreline, and there's breathing chance now in round number 12.
And that trying to hold the same angle that Koala Noob had previously. Seekers are out early. Snakebite down. Showstopper. BCJ, he's still alive. If only barely. Orbital strike also sent down. Net BCJ, we're going to drop. Spike still keeping the pressure on as the spike will be planted. And we've got ourselves a 4v2. Thrash at the ready for spike. And it may come out immediately. Sure will. Right through the fire and the flames. Lands on the Koala Noob. They know they've got isolation. Shorty's out. Xander denies, but the mosh pit does finish off the kill. Koala Noob can't get the gun back out, and it's a 10-round half.
And what a perfect Thrash, too, to deny the showstopper for getting any value as well. There was so much chaos around this side, but 2G looked like they're skating around, just doing absolute loops and getting perfect 10 scores on how they're executing around this chaos. Now we're switching sides, 10-2. 3 rounds away. The crowd here of Brazil behind 2G. 3 rounds away of ascending. What crazy of a story this is for a team that has made it without winning a single split this year in Brazil, and are about to topple the #1 seed of North America. A team that looked unstoppable ever since Xander and Net join into the responsibility to IGL and come in as a group and dominate the North American scene. Winning all 5 of their matches in the group stages. But now when it comes down to the playoffs, very similar story to last year against the Guard. Dominating throughout the whole season of Challengers, getting to this moment here in the Grand Finals and faltering to the Guard 1-3 in the Grand Final Series. They are getting a little bit of a glimpse and a return of what happened to them last year here for M80.
Have to have the composure. It's so tough going into a 5th map. You don't have any selection or choice of what it's going to look like, and it puts you in a map that we've already said a handful of times. It was their hard veto all year long. Legitimately more than just a thorn in the side. You have to win this pistol. You cannot afford to make any mistakes on a map that you have not been able to truly do much VOD review on really at all. A tall task, but for 2Game Esports, they have taken advantage of running through the upper bracket. And now they're just 3 rounds away.
And that's the thing. There's not too much tape to study upon for M80, and M80 had everything here to get ready to play against 2G. And you don't come out with anything that's out of the ordinary. This is a standard comp coming through. Coined a lot here in the Americas overall. You're trying to play the most basic composition, the most played composition to your side.
Yeah.
But you let it trail behind now by 8. This round can't stress it any more than this. The most important pistol round of M80's career for the 2nd time this Ascension.
Oh, look at this, though, Vans. The contact off the Trailblazer through Hookah has an aggressive push through Showers. Double stack.
2 players watching it, though.
Well, until they're not. And all of a sudden, now you've got the map completely in your control if you're 2G.
Oh,
Advantage definitely to the defense. Opportunity as well for Spike to rejoin around the back flank. Here comes the hit from the front. Paint Shell trying to delay through main. Dizzy denied. Net still finds the opener. Zap inside the container, can only get one, and that's a clean take. But will they expect Luis on the flank? Wingman with the plant. Spike, can he create any noise? Here comes Luis up the top. Good one tap. Koala Noob not gonna peek. Luis getting to work with another smoke to come in. Second shots are good. Avoids the flash. Shots in for damage. Now it's just down to one. Spike 1v2 and the up and over is good. Koala Noob wins the pistol.
And as soon as it was the smoke that dissipated, you see how they're playing not to lose here. Losing a bit of that confidence for M80. How slow they were on the attack and how they were trying to find the timing to flash through with the smoke dissipating on their side to flip the map on the defensive side. But the smoke on the attack also disappeared and allowed Luis to almost win this one against Koala Noob, who had to be on point. Stuck like a turret right in the right in the cubby of the B site to land those 2 kills and win the pistol for M80.
Quick action here for M80. Making a play up in towards main. He can also spend here. A couple of spam shots. Not really fully going to land. The healing will get them back to full HP. Zap just hoping for another connection. Not going to happen, so B-Long will go the way of M80. Trailblazers will follow up. No smokes placed as of yet, but the defense is already committed on the rotation.
Yeah, there's 5 players here. And it seems as though for 2G, they're just waiting for this wall to come back down to bait M80 to run back in. And there's still a Dizzy. There's still paint shells.
Oh,
it could hurt.
First contact goes 1 for 1. Dizzy back up and over. Silence the Cade off the mouse pit. That'll be enough for Xander to put him out of commission. Defensive wall goes back up once again. Holds M80 back. Teleport will come through. It's a wide open A. It's going to be a post plant.
And you see here for 2G, they're not really trying to push here to see if there's any weapons left behind by Nismo. They're really wanting to try to catch the timings here off M80 after the pulse plan. A re-clear, but it becomes a solo re-clear on short. Huge for Zap.
Whoa. First shots are good. Post plant, though, is over towards Showers. Xander's holding at the U-Haul. Timing is going to be everything for him. If he can hold this position, these defenders at Showers don't have to peek. Okay, shots are down, are good. Xander follows up. Absolutely brilliant, just down to 1. Pricey trying to make his way over. Knows that he's probably going to have a crossfire setup in some regard, whether it be through U-Hauls or over towards Showers. Gets the first. Tries to slide through for more. Net doesn't even come close. Now it's a 1v1. Toggles onto the spike. There's the shoulder peek. Xander going to force him to hold it. Trying to get it to halfway, and Xander just takes a snapshot and comes away with 3. M80 will take it and get their 4th.
It almost got to a point where I was like, oh, I gotta criticize 2G a bit because it's your wingman player trying to run out of heaven. Spike that has the wingman that can help out on the defuse so that the other players can just focus on guns and try to fight. And we know how good 2G are on these shares, especially in this moment right there. A 2K into the Showers, almost winning that one against Xander. It has to be the clutch master of Xander once again, saving M80. But that is only 1 weapon safe into this round. Yep. So small shields across, and it's going to be at least a gun round for both of these teams, and a huge swing round that would break the econ of either side.
Big time. Absolutely big time. That's the only benefit for M80 funding the 2 straight plants, is they're able to afford this quote-unquote bonus round as their full gun round. 3-2 split with the defense of 2G. Looking to get something going on their defensive side. No peeks or pokes over towards B-Long yet for the defenders. Utility being held on to, a couple of pings are out, and M80 are going to test their luck just a touch as the defensive wall goes back up, and M80 will now rotate back over to see if they can join net at main.
You're happy with this. Lots of space given up here for 2G, so M80 could just move and freely pick up the orb. BCJ's 1 away here from the Thrash. Net still trying to create some sort of diversion here towards this A site, and it's a battle of wasting up the smokes with his versus the Brimstone, leaving less here for 2G inside the site, so they feel like they have to activate here towards Long B.
Here's the thing, though. They're trying to flash and dash over, but then do they expect that 2G or 3-man stack doesn't make a difference until Pricey! Oh my goodness, he may have saved the round! How is he allowed to get 3? 2v2, Plant's gonna come through. Spike and LZ on the rotation over.
Thank God Koala Noob is once again there with the backstab from Hookah. getting the plant down, putting it a 2 versus 2, but they are separated. Net will be the first contact. Great delay here with the snake bite. Great shot there onto Spike as well.
Yeah, the Dizzy doesn't even get up over the top of the wall, so doesn't even have a chance of getting any effect in. Stim Beacon for LZ. Does have a volley to play off if he wants to try to separate this post plant a touch. Problem is, he's running out of time. And maybe I'd be giving the call that he's just going to save this. Wow. Okay.
Makes sense.
And M80's going to get 5 here. But wow, did Pricey ever give themselves a chance to possibly pull that back?
Pricey so far has been a key part of 2G, making sure that that M80 cannot snowball the economy on their side. The amount of sheriff kills that he's gotten in that previous round, that 3K that he got right there, if it was for a less coordinated split there for M80 and Qualinoob wasn't there to save the day, that would have been a different story that we would talk about in this moment for this pause that is now being called out by 2G. Letting these rounds slip just in the last moment. Yes, you could still bring that confidence to say, hey, we've won these rounds, we've dominated our attack side, but now we've lost pistol, we've lost the second round, and we've lost our bonus as well, or our gun round against the bonus.
Yep. Well,
it doesn't bode well here for quote unquote bonus at this point. Yeah, you still had some good plans coming down here for M80 that allows for them to go for these half shield rifle rounds. But 2G definitely, they want to put a little bit of a break on this, on the momentum that M80 is currently building.
Well, timeout's going to expire here. 2G coming fresh off of it, trying to get things going here defensively. It is important to note, and again, this is almost ancient history in terms of Valorant schemes. M80 did put together a very significant offensive half when they did play the guard. So that's, again, a year old at this point, but more than that. But still, it's one of those things that you have to keep in mind that even though this may not necessarily be in the competitive rotation for them, of course, they're scrimming, and if that leads us to believe anything, maybe there's a little bit of extra hope in the tank here for M80 as they're starting to put something together.
A strong offensive half for M80 against the guard versus a weak defensive half for 2G against all the teams they played so far in Ascension.
Yeah, good point.
So the script continues to be written. A low buy that you have for 2G. Hero rifle for Luis. As they were looking for early control for M80 with the Dizzy being thrown by BCJ. Thrash also engaging on the push. Playing all the way back on a default, waiting for the push forward to dig through the wall though. And that's potentially going to even it up for a tad in the scenario of this post plant.
Oh, in silence, he thought for a moment he was going to have one of those magical moments again. Qualinoob, oh, he does get the trigger pulled in the showstopper. Nearly gets booped out of midair. But it's only a 1-for-1, leaving it down to a Marshall and a Judge for the retake. And this post plant is all through A main. M80 very recognizable about the situation, knowing that this is not going to be any part of a full purchase. You've got the Thrash, you've got another post plant molly.
In the lineup.
Do not leave anything to chance. There's the Thrash. Flash out behind that. BCJ gets pushed off the angle. Pricey gives himself an opportunity for the 1v2. Doesn't work out. So now it's on to Zap. There's the toggle. Plays for counter flash, none's there, and time is going to expire on this play. Just comes down to how much more damage can Zap do, and the answer is no more than just 1. M80 now within 4.
Despite them winning that round for M80, I was just inhaling a little bit at this point because I looked at Net setting up this lineup. Yes, he grouped up with everybody else to get topped off by Nismo to give a fighting chance here in the post plant. That said, though, the lineup was perfect, but the plant wasn't. It was actually too far up towards the towels, where if it was a different scenario where somebody was sticking onto that spike, he could have potentially fully stuck it. At least, thankfully, though, it was a lower buy from 2G, so not too much of a surprise in terms of a result, although making it rather expensive. You pulled out a showstopper on the side of the attack.
Yep.
You also
and a Thrash.
Exactly, and you're working out the economy once again, trying to keep it as low as possible for M80, where at some point, that bank is going to break.
Little play over the top of B long here. M80 have been surprised, if not befuddled, by these little corner peeks before. Shots a bit of miss for both sides, and Xander will at least keep it 1-for-1. Seekers just to keep the defense in place while they try to rotate in, and that's enough for M80 just to pause for a moment. They actually pulled the Viper's Pit early in the round, so now Intentions with an orbital strike can go back over towards A to break down the site.
Yeah, and that was just Seekers as they get shot right away. They knew that M80 was going to get fairly close, or they are very close to the B site. So it gives a chance for 2G to kind of set up their defense on the A side, on that side. And then the dog was potentially going to initiate and engage here. The elbow set from Xander. He's going to use it towards the back. At least allows for you to buy a little bit of space to try to get this plant down.
And not going to get it through. The Mosh on the other side stops it. Spike now picked up and immediately thrown through the teleporter. There is a player here, and wouldn't you know it, it's Pricey. Snake bite down initially. Whoa, they get concussed. They get stalled out. Touch here. And Pricey's in a prime position to get a read on this. The defense trying to run over as fast as they possibly can, but Pricey can only find one. Smoke covering. And now it's just down to the blast pack as BCJ will successfully plant 3v3. Spike and Zap trying to hang out over towards Zelba, but they're going to try to flood this through. Wingman into the corner. Wallanu not going to be able to get hit by it, but Spikes turns that into an entry for 2. BCJ around the back. Can he pull a 1v3? No toggle on the Spike yet, but Zap through Hookah. Avin to the play, shuts it down, and 2G get 11.
All of that works so well for M80 to fight back against Pricey. Pricey does manage to get one, making it winnable here for 2G. But the pulse plant, Kolanu by himself in the corner, cleared out by a wingman, where it had to be him the first point of contact in a one and done, and you needed that trade to come through from the other side of container. But both of them got isolated because of the bad position that they had in the pulse plant. Afraid here to fight against the duels where maybe you go on the top of the container to watch the spawn and you're the first contact. And then Kolanu could maybe swing it out because he's been on point at least to try to keep this within reach for M80 to tie up the game. Instead, it's a round for 2G and still an opportunity to buy for M80 though.
Unbelievable scenes. Thrash at the ready for Spike. Holding on to a Trailblazer. Gonna send that over to see what is happening over towards Shower side, and maybe just caught a little bit of information on towards Net, who now backs off, and M80 will resort to, again, just holding for a moment here with just a minute and 5 on the clock.
And everything got stalled out at the very beginning from an aggressive smoke thrown on the defensive side for Luis, but you're at the minute mark where there's not many smokes left, so again, they have to try to press forward and try to get map control, and Net, unfortunately, in this moment, cannot win. The push coming out from the Showers. It's a gamble now to move in towards short, but they will potentially get pinched into the backstab.
Yeah, this is a smart setup for 2G. They know that they can use the Thrash to clear out U-Hauls. So you just stack yourself up around the back through Spices and over through Shower. M80 also aware of this play. Paint shells are out. Flashback as well, denied. The free fire is good. M80 are gonna walk away with 2. Luis able to trade one back over to Strike. He's going to throw it right on in towards Shower. That's going to be enough for Spike to work on the defuse. But Koalanu, he finds the first. He's got to go. Little Bro still hanging on to it. And the defuse will come through. 2G are on Ascension point.
Match point.
One more round needed for 2G to eliminate M80 in map number 5 on Bind. And now you're seeing pictures of yesterday where you need it. BCJ calling out for his teammates to get loud, to hype things up, but it is quiet in that camp. The timeout's coming through, and it is going to be the most important timeout being called by Happy, the coach. Happy needs to bring his name over to the faces of this team of M80 to at least crack a smile, to at least do something here for them to be able to fight back, because now 2G has full control of the defensive side.
Yes. Man, and I think in your mind, you retrospectively look back at the last 2 rounds previous to this most recent one and say, did we use too much? I mean, we needed these ults, and we're calling timeouts here. We're not even calming. And you could see it. I think that sigh right there says more than we can in terms of the situation that M80 currently find themselves in. 2 game around away. M80 have to try to pull something out of a playbook that is thin, having not played it much in the competitive season.
I don't even see players looking at fist bumps or anything before we get back here from the pause. They are in their own heads now for M80. And that they may continue to be in their own heads if this final round right here, potentially the final round of 2G, closes out the chances of M80. A broken buy that you have, but thankfully 2 ults to work with to try to gain some space.
They do see Prize in the back of the site. Paint shells are sent out. Prize able to get himself safely in the container. A little bit of free fire does land. Keep in mind, you still have Zap nearby playing over towards alongside at B. Also throws a guiding light to make sure that there is no immediate threat. So it's all just early pressure, healing coming through. And now you got to be thinking, what's the go call? They still have not taken a peek in towards B main yet. Has M80.
This is good. At least a flash that was thrown here on the defensive side knows that there's somebody playing aggressively towards Octagon, so you could go for a late fish to try to pinch back at least into controlling that front side where there's no snake bite available from Pricey to slow down the hookah crunch.
That's gonna get flashed out. Does not deal with the fish. Pricey though inside the site. He's gonna step up. You also replace him with Spike now on the backside of the site. Showstopper will make its way into the site as well as Silence joins the party at B. No commitment yet for M80. This is an orb that gets Seekers in play. That'll immediately be called. Pricey has to deal with it, backs up into elbow. Shots from net are good. The hit is on. Spike inside the site. Able to catch one through the smoke. And now the wingman now. Spike for a second. How about more? Yes, sir, why not? It's down to just BCJ. It's a team that had never seen a grand finals. It's a team that came into this tournament doubted and discounted. They will not be denied. 2-game Esports ascend to VCT Americas.
G cannot believe their eyes. A team that has been doubted, a team going into the interviews saying that they almost didn't even qualify into the Brazilian scene, going into Challengers. And now are able to defeat here M80, a core around Spike, Pricey, and Zap that has been around here since 2023 in June, trying to chase the dream of making here into ascending into partnership for 2025. And they have done so under the banner of 2G.
What do you say? What a series of Valorant. And for 2-game Esports, you don't write a story of Path to Pro better than that. Grit, determination, and just straight up perseverance. And it all starts with, by the way, Van Silly, the fact that they come into a group stage and immediately just grab the spotlight and say, look at us. And when we start to do that, we say, well, what do we have to look at? Because the next 3 games don't really go all that well for them. Yep. But you meet this M80 squad in upper bracket round 1, you out-prep them, you out-plan them, you beat them in 2. You then take out All Night, the team that came out with some fire, some aggression, and you take care of business there. And out of the upper bracket, you get the benefit of the double bans. You put M80 on a map that they do not play, and you find yourself a dominant win. Unbelievable space, unbelievable scenes. And well, in a moment, you're going to see the lift of the trophy as 2-game Esports give credit where credit is due. M80 falls short, but at the top of the tower, 2-game Esports, your VCT Ascension Americas champion.
Couldn't write a better Cinderella story than this for 2-game. Taking the opportunity of what was gifted to them after waiting on the sidelines during the group stages to get to this moment. But man, does that have to sting for M80 for the second time, the second year in a row. We talk about cores between Spike, Pricey, and Zap. But the core, unfortunately, here on the side of Xander, Nismo, and Koala Noob, they fall just short. But at least to rejoice now on the side of 2-game, this means a lot for the Brazilian scene where you're looking at the Americas most of the times here, Shift, where most of the talents just get recycled between MIBR and Furia. But now you have a full team ascending from Challengers. That is going to instill a lot of hope, faith, and new talent breeding outside of Brazil.
The other story, and I know the desk was going to touch on this. This is a team of 2-game Esport where, again, our favored storylines about them came by the name of Spike and Silence. And wouldn't you know it, the guy that's been the loudest from day 1 is the guy that pops off here today. Zap, undeniably the difference maker. Talk about the fact that Pricey, who also at different moments in time throughout this tournament was not called upon much, but how big was he in individual moments? Maybe not full-on 1v multiple clutches, but as an individual standing tall against multiple M80 members and good for a couple. I mean, it's just the unsung heroes, so to speak, step up. And I think for what it's worth, that's what you look for out of a complete squad, not just relying on a couple of pop-off players, but you get it done in the end when it matters most through a grueling series where all 5 players really could be battling for that MVP.
Can you imagine how much this means here for 2G's potential going into the Americas? Because a lot of these moments where you're looking at Challengers teams, you have these conversations of like, hey, they're doing good in their region, they're doing good in Challengers, but can they actually play against the best of the best that now VCT Americas has to offer? And think back about this BO5 again here, Shift. This is a BO5, the first time that you have for 2G. They also played their permaban as the 4th map, when it was a lead here from M80 to close things out potentially on Haven, and then they leave the permaban of M80 as the last map to be played, and still showed grit and a dominant victory on that 5th map. It means so much now into the potential that 2G has.
Well, we've got a new team that's going to be joining the VCT Americas season, but for Vansili and I, that will do it on the casting desk as we send things back over to our analyst in Sierra to give us our final reactions for the evening.
Thanks, Shift. Thanks, Van. What a match. What a series. What a way to be ending off Ascension Americas. Coming into this right away, 2G showed us that they were a team to not underestimate, and through it all, they have made their way through that upper bracket, through this playoffs, and now into VCT Americas. I mean, this is the number 2 seed from Brazil, guys. This was the team that almost didn't qualify, but the talent from this region so bright. They'll have the chance to prove that. Jen, across the board, stand-up performances all series long from this team.
Yeah, as if that they don't lose a single series in playoffs while going 2 and 3 in groups. Like, I can't believe how much 2G peaked in playoffs. Like, when all the stakes were on the line, it was incredible. I especially want to shout out Spike, because yeah, I was bummed to not see his Neon there on Haven before, but his Gecko, I was hyping up BCJ. I thought that was going to be a tough matchup, but Spike really showed us a masterclass on the Gecko. The thrash tags of just the wingmans flushing people out of these nooks and crannies on the B side, to the wingman diffuse clutches, the mollies, like Spike. I mean, Wyatt, we were going crazy how Spike was also just multi-killing everybody.
That last round was insane. You could just see he was beyond locked in, and he has such a cool story too. I mean, he's just what Ascension is all about, what the system is all about. A guy that in Brazil was a known Neon ranked demon, and then he joins up with this team, his first legit team, and is able to play at such a high level. And not just the Neon, but the other flex roles that they need him on too. And it's his ability to flex and Silent's ability to flex that has made this team so well-rounded that they can have a star duelist on every single map, that they have the pieces required to play all the comps they need on any map that they play. This team was just such a surprise, such a delight to watch. How many times have we said the second seed from Brazil? A lot, but not enough. What an improvement from this team from last we saw them playing within their region, where they came in 3rd place, got here from points, and are now headed to the Partnership League. It is just madness, and they absolutely deserve it.
Yeah, number 2 from Brazil, but number 1 in Ascension, which is just all that matters. We speak to just the big advantage that the 2 bands gave 2G, the preparation that went into this, but also the clash of playstyles and how 2G had to play against the M80 playbook, where M80 give a lot of space, and 2G, the biggest criticism that we had but in their previous matchup against M80 is how to really profit from that space and to find the pressure points against M80. And M80 just decided to stop holding a short there on bind. 2G were allowed to walk into the site instead of really good post plans. They had 12 post plans on the previous map. Here we'll get to the stats, but 2G got to own and keep all the real estate, and they really had to fight hard for it at times. And it came up to some really clutch plays, but 2G learned a lot from their previous experiences against M80.
It was a team that constantly leveled up. They They had this opportunity. They went 2-3 in groups, almost didn't make it to playoffs, and then from there turned things around. They were not going to waste this opportunity. And we've talked about Silence, we've talked about Spike, but everybody on this team deserves their props. I mean, he's a multiple 3 kills in just that final map there. Louis is so consistent throughout so many different things, and Zap, someone we highlighted coming into this that needed to be the voice for the team, needed to have that composure, that mental to bring them through this 5-map series, and Wyatt, he delivered every course of the way.
You can't convince me that this team would be anywhere near as good as they are without Zap. Not only today was he, by the numbers, the best player in the server across all 5 maps on that initiator role, but it's what he's done for this team outside of the game. It's the energy that he brings this team. Without him, would they have that? I don't think so. He keeps everybody so confident and hyped up. The trash talk, the yelling across the stage, hyping up his teammates, and that is what a young team needs. A team of players that have never felt the pressure or the weight of a tournament like this. Having someone like him who is just fearless in the face of any adversity that they are facing is just paramount to being able to accomplish something like this. Like, to me, he is absolutely the MVP of 2Game today.
And there's just talent in every facet of 2Game. Like, we don't get to hype up as much as what Louise and Pricey did. Pricey got so many triple kills when M80 would just be barreling down B long. There was Pricey at least converting 2 kills if after his sacrifice. Louise, like the Omen on the previous map, making huge plays with his ult. Everyone on 2Game really shined today. And to do it in front of their crowd, I think Silence's girlfriend, we got family in the crowd, a lot of hype there, but also from their fellow team from their region. Galore's players were in the crowd with signs for 2Game. If that doesn't spell like just how awesome Valorant is and just Ascension in that region is overall incredible stuff.
They've definitely showed their region well. That is for sure. Wyatt, what they're able to show and accomplish here today cannot be understated.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what I was going to get at, and what Vance had said, just before they tossed it to us, kind of considering the Brazilian region as a whole and their place in Valorant. And it's been a tough year for Brazil. In the Partnership League and VCT Americas, it was a downtrend, but this is a great way to cap things off for the region when we head into 2025, and is just a testament to the amount of talent that has been bubbling under the surface in that region that we have not gotten the privilege of seeing until now. It's just crazy to think about. And when we consider, Galoris as well and how impressive their players looked, it is legitimately a region that is overflowing with talent that are ready to break out onto the top scene in the world.
And just a heartbreaking moment for M80 for the past to repeat itself. But we know the sky is the limit for the talent that is on this roster. They've dominated Challengers. Ned has already qualified from Ascension in the past. I have no doubt that M80 can do this again next year, but even better. So big shout out to M80 for also fighting through the lower bracket, a reverse sweep yesterday, to forcing a game 5 today, to doing everything, pulling out everything from the strat book on their worst map of Bind, and trusting Koala Noob on the Raze instead of Nismo, and trying to put the pieces together. Shout out to M80 for giving us a good final, but congratulations at the end to 2G.
Yeah, for M80, I don't know what the future is going to be holding for them. I know they wanted to take this run this year as that core group, but regardless, such skilled players. 2G played out of their minds, and I know that for M80 fans, this is going to be heartbreaking. But again, bright futures ahead. Of course, we have to talk about the victorious 2G and talk to them. A quick break interview on the other end, so stay tuned.
They say in life, there are no guarantees. They say a lot of stuff like that. Slow it down. Play it safe. Hedge your bets. So what? You gonna listen to that? You gonna stop because they can't guarantee you'll pull this off? No guarantee you'll win? No guarantee everything's gonna be fine? In life, you make your own guarantees. Nobody else will light your way. Start your own fire and keep it burning. And we guarantee you'll have one hell of a lifetime.
Embarrassing gaming moment? I think just one that I was like scratching my nose from the other angle. It looked like I was scratching inside my nose, but it wasn't. So I think this one, and it was in the start of the first split, I think, in this year. It was kind of embarrassing, yeah.
I was in the first strike Brazil event, the first one, and we got like 13-0 in the match. Fate was with me in that moment, so I guess that's it.
Absurdo! Que seria difícil! Que será impossível!
I would probably say like every time I whiff on stream, it like a little bit of my soul crumbles. So I think every single time I whiff on stream, that kind of hurts my pride, you know.
Olha isso! Ele atira andando!
I mean, it's not embarrassing in a funny way. It's embarrassing because it was really embarrassing. It haunting me to this day. It's when I was still a player and we lost the final of the first master to Australs, and we were playing in Weigers with Kesnit and not my former my teammate Suter. We were playing for Weigers at that time. We lost 3-0, so it was pretty tough because we were the favorites in some way.
Probably my whiff against Paper X in Iceland. That was pretty embarrassing.
They never make mistakes.
Jing just got 2 kills in mid, by the way. This kill, well, yes, might be impactful.
Kill that now!
He knew!
I don't know, it's not really like embarrassing, it was more sad, but like losing to the guard last year when like we got #1 seed both years, like we just couldn't keep up the form at like an international like fully. I mean, second's still good, but like we obviously really wanted to win. Like it was pretty like, I guess, embarrassing because like people were like thinking very highly of us when we were going into it, and we just didn't show up when it mattered fully. So this year will be different.
I think it was 13-0. We lost to Loud back in 2022 Challengers. We actually were playing our best map. I think we never lost a map before, apart from the problem we had in Champions with Breeze. And then we played Loud and they absolutely crushed us like 13-0. 13-0, 13-1 maybe? I'm not 13-1 I think it was. At least not 13-0. It always was like very embarrassing for us.
Ele contra 3, acerta o primeiro de Marshall, será que dá pra passar? Mas não!
Oh shoot, probably when I was like 7 years old or something, like that girl from Bakugan, whatever her name, the blue-haired girl from Bakugan. Like when I was really young, probably. That was like the first like cartoon that I like. That's what got me into anime too, so.
Oh my god. I don't know in English the name, but it's
O nome da personagem do Phantom lá.
Phantom. Do you know Danny Phantom? Yeah, his girlfriend, I guess. Yeah, Samantha.
Wow. Cartoon crush. It's kind of a crazy question. I would have to say, like, back in the day when I was like 10 years old, I'd be watching Inuyasha, an anime. And it'd have to be like Kagome or something, the girl that he was always falling for, Inuyasha.
Oh, that's a weird question, man. That's a weird question. Okay. Like crush, like, I think Didi from Dexter's Lab, I think it's called in English. Yeah, it has to be Didi, yeah.
Não faço ideia, mano. Carly. iCarly. Bro, I have no idea. Let me think. Give me a second. I never had a big crush. Maybe, you know Misty from Pokemon? That's a good one, right? Yeah, that's a good one.
Cartoon crush? I don't know. I don't think I've had one, I'm not gonna lie. I'll probably have to go with Peter Griffin.
Cartoon crush, that's a good one. I think there was a cartoon in Brazil that was like I don't know the name in English, but it was like Três Espiões Demais, there's something like that. And maybe someone from there, but I don't really remember too much. So.
Cartoon crush? Maybe like Dr. Doofenshmirtz.
Hi guys, how you doing? I'm here with the winners, the guys who classified for VCT Americas. Guys, I'm sorry, I'm like really in shock right now. The first thing that I want to ask them, of course, is how are they feeling right now? Como que vocês estão se sentindo, cara?
Cara, a sensação todo mundo fala isso, mas só quando você sente, sabe? É indescritível. A ficha ainda não caiu pra gente, mas o sentimento, se eu fosse falar em uma palavra, seria realização. Eu acho que tudo que a gente fez nos levou a isso. E, mano, a gente tava com as pessoas certas, na hora certa, e é isso que acontece.
I really have no words to describe, but one word would be realization. Like, we were just in the right time with the right people and we just made it. Silence, o que você tá sentindo agora?
Cara, eu posso falar a mesma coisa que ele, porque é o que eu falo sempre, então é uma sensação indescritível realmente, mano. E é um sentimento de gratidão até o final, que não tem comparação com nada na vida, velho. Não tem comparação com nada. Você se dedicar 100%, 110% naquilo e realmente dar certo e mostrar para as pessoas que deu certo. Então é isso, muito feliz.
I really have no words to describe too. I'm really, really happy. I'm really grateful for everything that has happened to us. We need to be on our 110% if we want to continue like this. The second question that I want to ask them both is what can we expect from 2G in VCT? O que a gente pode esperar de vocês no próximo ano no VCT?
Cara, a gente sempre foi underdog desde que a gente começou, então não seria diferente agora a gente chegando lá. Mas eu acho que tem que começar a respeitar um pouco mais a gente, o nosso trabalho. Então é uma sensação a mais de que eles também têm que nos respeitar, assim como a gente respeita toda a equipe que a gente joga contra.
We were the underdogs, and yeah, definitely other teams need to respect us, need to respect our region, and yeah, basically that.
Cara, eu acho que, mano, pode esperar muito da gente, porque eu acho que nossa dedicação, a de todo mundo do time, é uma coisa muito sinistra, muito grande. Então, é isso. Eu acho que as pessoas têm que ter medo e conhecer um pouco a 2Game de verdade, que agora quem está no nosso alto nível, ninguém segura a gente.
We are on our best level. You can expect a lot from us next year. And yeah, that's it. Muito obrigada, guys. It's all for now. It's all for the event too. Thank you very much just keeping here with us. And yeah, here are the champs. Bye, guys.
I mean, hey, if 2G levels up anywhere near from groups to this grand finals, they have that sort of glow up next year heading into VCT Americas. This team, the sky is the limit. This was absolutely phenomenal, Wyatt. There is some bright talent here. Huge congratulations. So well deserved.
And they can believe that they can do just that, because literally saw them do that over just the past couple months. How much better this team has looked today, yesterday, this whole tournament versus how they looked when they were trying to qualify in the regional challengers to get here. The improvement is just insane. And with even more time, and then also, you know, relocating, going to Los Angeles to compete in Americas, they'll be consistently scrimming against all of the best teams in the region, which is something that, you know, Brazil and LATAM don't have the opportunity to do compared to the North American teams. So listen, just having all of that access, can only imagine how good these guys will be in the future. They really do have a bright future, and I'm just excited to see more of them next year in 2025.
Yeah, and for 2Game, a lot of their players, 2Game was their first like big team. It's the first time on the stage, and I'm seeing kind of like posts from the community come out of just what 2Game were like as scrim partners and how much they were dedicated to the game, how hard they worked. And I also just love the interviews that came out like when they were facing M80 of just, we don't make mistakes, we just run out of ideas. We are a great team and we're gonna show it. And they really did. Like, they turned their group stage all around to be #1 without dropping a series in playoffs. Like, this Ascension was incredible.
Hey, they better get some more ideas going in the future, because there is a hell of a lot of Valorant in store for them, let me tell you. But this Ascension has been a ride throughout. From the get-go, it has been absolutely a roller coaster up till the very end. And again, the biggest of congratulations to 2G. Welcome to VCT Americas. As for us, it's sad to say, but that is it for Ascension. Wyatt, Jen, like everyone that worked along production, thank you all so much for crushing it. Thank you all so much at home for cheering on the players. And thank you so much to the players for putting on a heck of a show. We'll see you soon for our next event. But until then, enjoy. Have a great night, everyone.